Community-Based Adaptation Conference, I think it is an international forum which was held in Bangladesh. And the theme of this year's, the fifth conference, international conference, was scaling up beyond pilots, which focuses the spread of knowledge on community-based adaptations for vertically or horizontally for communities and vertically for government and actions. Then talking about the details of the conference, I would say there are two most important activities in the conference. The first was the technical session and the plenary sessions, which include various topics like agriculture, community-based adaptation toolkits, and most case studies were held in the plenary sessions and in the technical sessions, where questions and answers and participants involved in the plenary technical sessions. And the other most important part is the field visit, which was done by more than 300 people in the outskirts of the Bangladesh to observe how community-based climate change was held in Bangladesh. My topic on the conference was developing national, regional and local adaptation programs. On the presentation, I have tried to describe the profile of Ethiopia and the impacts of climate change. The serious impacts like drought and floods were discussed, and more importantly, the pillars of Ethiopian response to climate change, which begins from the federal constitution, which gives the way to environmental policy of Ethiopia, which has a provision sectoral and cross-sectoral issues, which include climate change. Okay, then the Ethiopian program of action for climate change was made by sectoral agencies and regional and local agencies. They brought their program of action to the federal EPA for consolidation. This is an input for preparation of national adaptation program. From the participants' perspective, the most valuable thing, as I expected, is the beginning of the multi-stakeholder involvement to prepare, including the local people. They have identified the issues of climate change on themselves. Then it has gone to WRADA, the interregional level. This was the best practice, because it will be when the response measures are made in the climate change adaptation program, that will be demand driven, because it's brought from the lower level. As you know, climate change adaptation is people's action to reduce the adverse factors of climate change. And in adaptation, we reduce the vulnerability of people, even ecosystems. We also reduce the sensitivity, or we build the capacity of people, communities. Action must be dealt with at the local level. People must be organized in a community-based adaptation program. So this will be fit to the strategy of Ethiopia, which can be handled at a lower level. As you know, Bangladesh is highly vulnerable to flood and drought. And I was a member to visit a certain community which is highly affected by floods. In the flood times, the communities are losing their farmland, rice farmland, and the land will be inundated for almost a month. And at that time, people cannot travel to distant places. They sometimes send their children by making a banana leaf like a boat, and they send people to the school. The other important thing is when they have full shortage, they have a floating garden on the water. They make composting, and then they plant vegetables on the water itself, and they use the cabbage like tomatoes for food. And they also have flood-free houses, which are built raised houses based on the experience of the height of the water coming seriously different events. And the other most important thing which I observed is the involvement of NGOs with local people and even local governments. They integrate, they work together in the climate change adaptation of the communities. Well, the sharing of the experience from Bangladesh was informal one. I have tried to explain with any opportunities when I provide trainings And I have recently met the parliamentarians. I have discussed with them. They have very appreciated how Bangladesh people can cope with such a very huge disaster when in climate change. And I have planned, if things are possible, I will try to organize a kind of orientation and maybe give to, provide the lessons which are gained for colleagues or experts in Ethiopia. Even though it is informal, they are very highly impressed because seeing is believing. I believed because I have seen it. And then the problem of Bangladesh is very serious, especially the flood one, and they have hurricanes and even storms. They cope it. It is marvelous, and people are astonished that experience can help us to deal with community-based adaptation in Ethiopia.